Been away for a while, adjusting my style, and now I'm coming back. But to my surprise, I don't like what I see. It brings out the scared little girl in me. 'Cause everything's changed, I don't like when things change. It stirs up my insecurities.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be across the globe. Welcome and welcome to Friday Mind Reset Live. I want to say a big welcome to our Facebook family and our YouTubers. I hope you're good. This is a very special edition of the Friday Mind Reset Live. I want to check and make sure that you can all hear and see me. So if you could put a thumbs up or just some kind of signal to let me know that you can hear me and you can see me okay before I begin. So I want to make sure that it's all good. Yeah, do I get a thumbs up? Not sure, not seeing that at the moment. Okay, well, I'm going to trust that I am live and you can see me and hear me. Okay, so as I was saying, okay, now that's what I'm talking about. Yep, okay, Carol says we're good. See that we have a few stragglers. Okay, people are coming in now. That's great. Fantastic. Okay, so as I was saying, welcome to our final Friday Mind Reset Live. It's a bittersweet moment. For the last 10 months or so, we have been every week here sharing and showing you different aspects in relation to the GPS system, which stands for Grow Personal Success, and the 5 pillars of success. Each month, for 5 months, we have focused on one of those 5 success pillars. And during the course of each week, we have brought different guests to embellish and really solidify the spiritual nuggets and the information in terms of how spirituality actually applies to each of these 5 pillars. And so for those of you who may recall or may not, we were looking at our mental and emotional state, our physical state, health and well-being, our financial state, our state of our relationships, and the state of our spirit. And so the whole journey was really to show you, to introduce to you how spirituality and everyday practical living can be fused together and how you can use them to empower your life. So I hope that you have found it useful. And this month we have been focusing on the mindset, because the mind is a powerful tool, and it's a shame that we are only beginning to take note and realize how powerful this is and how it is to be utilized and employed. And so, as I said, this is going to be our final, but I wanted to go out with a bang, and I'm going to miss, the team and we're going to miss all of our guests who have been supporting us throughout the months, but we're going to take a much needed break and give us the opportunity to regroup. And we have some major plans in terms of what we want to be doing in 2022. So this is going to give us an opportunity to do just that. But as I said, I wanted to go out with a bang. And so I thought, what better way than to introduce a lady where we're going to talk about your mindset, but we're going to talk about your mindset towards money. And I thought that was a great fusion. And so I have my guest who is all the way across the waters in the form of Carol Hunter, who I met a few years ago, and I interviewed her. And you should, if you haven't checked out my YouTube and seen my short interview with Carol, then you need to, because this woman she tells it like it is, and she tells it like it is where money is concerned and our attitude towards it. And so I thought, what a great way to end our series. Why? Because for those of you who've been following me through the year, I have been saying that I truly believe that this season that we're in, and I'm talking about from the beginning of September, is a season of harvest. I've been saying it all year. And for those of you who certainly have made investments in the crypto space, you'll know what I'm talking about. This is the season of harvest, but it is not possible for you to harvest if your mind ain't right. If you have a poverty mindset, well, then everyone will be harvesting and enjoying the fruits of their harvest, but you won't, because you won't even know what's happening or what's going on. So this is why we wanted to talk this evening, hoping that you will benefit from it, gain from it, and apply it. And so, as usual, we're going to spend the first hour or so really introducing Carol and talking about her work and what she does and why she's so passionate about it. And then at about 9 o'clock, we will go private for our members, whereby they get the chance to ask questions. But we'll see how we feel, because we may actually, well, let's just see how we feel. I've just got a vibe that we may actually potentially extend this. So without any further ado, let me introduce to you my dear good friend, Miss Carol Hunter. Now let's see how we do this. Carol, are you there? Just give it a moment. I'm sure Hey, Carol.
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
I am blessed and wonderful and great and so happy to be here. So thank you.
Oh, well, listen, it was my pleasure. After our last rendezvous, which was back in 2019, can you believe that?
Yes.
We had an interview and it was so full of, it was one of the best interviews I should say. We had a ball, didn't we?
It was great. It was great.
It was so great. And I made a mental note that if I ever had an opportunity to invite you again to talk that kind of talk, then I was gonna, and this is a great opportunity, because, money is tight to mention, as they say over here. And we need to ensure that we have the right attitude when money is concerned. And I thought, bearing in mind that many of our viewers and listeners are from our community and are females, I thought, what better person to have than come and speak to them about money, none other than Carol Hunter, the money mender herself.
Thank you.
So, first of all, I want to say a real big thank you, and I really appreciate you being here, because you've had some turbulence where your health is concerned of late, and yet nevertheless, when I sent you the message to say that, would you please, would you join us this day, and you told me, I was like, wow, this may not happen, and I was praying for you as well. Do you want to tell us just a little bit about that in terms of how you're feeling now?
Yes. I am a survivor of COVID-19, and I was infected on September the 25th by my new personal trainer, who, of course, I fired because
What?
he was the carrier. And So, for anybody out there that doesn't believe that it's real, COVID-19 is a killer. And once it gets in your body, you can either have a mild case or you can get really sick really fast. And for whatever reason, I truly believe that Satan was trying to take me out and silence my voice because I have so much more work left to do in the world to help people mend their broken money systems. And so I went from feeling okay to probably a few days from a ventilator because I couldn't breathe and I was hospitalized and there is no cure, so they do trial and error. So they chose the right thing for me, and after about 2 days in the hospital, things started turning around, and I was released about a week later. And so here we are, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later. I'm feeling amazing. I don't have any long hauler side effects. I put on makeup for you guys today because I haven't had on any since I beat COVID. And
That's what I'm talking about.
I got up this morning excited to talk about money and mindset from across the pond and just praising God that I'm alive. So let's do it.
Yeah, and I love that. I love the fact we always like to bring the Most High into our midst because you and I, we know that that is the power that sustains us. And this is what my work is really all about, showing people how you can bring the Most High into your everyday experience. And the two are not separate, they're actually totally entwined. And so when I sent you the message and you told me, Tony, I'm in hospital, I was like, oh no, we gonna beat this. We gonna beat this. And so here we are. It's done. You're restored and ready
Yes.
to go. So
Yes.
I feel so blessed that this is your first outing since then. And this is
Yes.
our last. So we're ending the year in a big way. My prayer's been answered. So tell us, how comes Carol is the money mender? I mean, what's your business doing trying to show people how to mend their money issues?
Well, the simple answer to that is I help predominantly women and a few men mend their broken money systems. And most of the time, when people think about broken money systems, they think, I don't have a budget, which I hate that word. I choose to use spending plan because budget implies that you can't do anything. And when it comes to money, especially if your systems are broken, you've already done too much. You more. So using the word budget is like she wants me to get on a budget. So we have spending plans so that you can plan how you're going to spend. And so when we talk about broken money systems, that's everything from your estate planning is not in order, your investments, your insurance, your child's education plan, your emergency reserve fund is all encompassing your credit situation. So it's not just, I don't have a savings account, my banking account is not in order. It's the whole thing. So everybody's broken money system situation is different. And so when I work with you, whether it's independently or in a group, then we deal with those broken money systems. And so I help you restore those systems so that you can enjoy a perpetual life of money freedom, because money freedom gives you choices. So we want to have the choice to live the life that we want to live. And in line with what Tony was talking about, I too combine the spiritual and the practical together. And so one of my favorite equations that I have operated by for 33 years is you take the spiritual revelation, which comes from the Word of God, you add to that now the practical application, and you'll get some manifestation because you need the Word, you need the practical, and then you'll have the manifestation that you're looking for.
Oh, wow. That's what I'm talking about. And, as I was getting ready for this morning, when I have quiet time on a Friday, I just came across that scripture in Matthew, Matthew 13, where it talks about, the seeds and harvests. And I love that when you can plant a seed and look at the potential of having 30, 60, 100 fold. I mean, it's just awesome. But, there's many people who don't make that connection in these days, and especially, interestingly enough, people who are looking at spirituality and not recognizing that the two go hand in hand. It's all part of the same equation. But I want to take it right back, because how you came into this whole space about money was actually as a result of your own personal experience. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I was a hot mess, hot mess. So, I grew up and I come from very humble beginnings, so we didn't have a lot of money. And when I was younger, I always said, when I grow up, I'm going to buy anything that I want. So I entered college in the United States at a time when they had started to give us pre-approved credit cards. Why in the world would you give an 18-year-old a pre-approved credit card that only had a $50 work study job? And you don't give me any knowledge about that, because I thought the plastic was free and that they were giving me this great, amazing gift because I was in college. So roll the clock forward. I graduated from college. I have my BS degree in accounting, and I marched across that stage with that degree and 19 credit cards and over $30,000 of consumer debt. That's how I graduated from college. I was in so much stupid debt and didn't have a clue. And so, all of these creditors started coming at me and I got scared. But because I had that analytical ability from my accounting profession, I knew how to build spreadsheets and I knew how to make all the numbers work. So I created all these spreadsheets. And so, I was on the paycheck to paycheck system at that time. So I said, okay, when I get paid on this day, I can release this one. And then sometimes I would forget to put a stamp on my envelope on purpose, so they would have to send it back to me. So I would call them and tell them, oh, I forgot to put the stamp on there. I'm so sorry. Can I send it back to you? Because see, that paycheck wasn't working out. So, all of those lying spirits on me at that time.
Wow.
I was operating in grace and mercy because I was lying. And so ultimately, that system that I created got me out of debt, but it also became the foundation to me starting my business in 1988. And I didn't even know I was in business because I was a first generation college student, first generation business owner. And then I started getting speaking engagements and things started happening. And I said, I think I'm in business. And so, I was in business probably 3 or 4 years before I realized I was just helping people. I was going into churches and community centers. I was hosting meetings in my home because once I figured out how to get out of debt and manage my money, I wanted to tell everybody. People that looked like me, because nobody had ever taught us these things because we didn't have any money anyway. So I get out of school and now we're in an era where the playing field wasn't level. But for Black women with degrees, I was able to get in the door and play the game and earn a living.
Wow.
So that's my early beginnings, Tony.
Wow. So what's really fascinating is that the journey that you've been on, in effect, was born out of your love and your desire and your care for other people to want to help them. Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
I mean, that is a spiritual principle right there, that when you care about others and you serve and you give, life has an amazing way of giving you. I mean, literally, you were in business and you didn't even know it.
I didn't know.
Wow. And so here we are, fast forward 30 plus years down the line, and you've got a thriving business in the States, and to the point that you're spreading your wings by coming over to the UK as you did, and when we met in 2019. And, today I want to talk about this thing, what I call a poverty mindset. And I don't know if it's a phrase that you're familiar with, but I find that so many people are broke because they have this poverty mindset, this whole attitude about lack and limitation where they are concerned, and everything connected with money. What would you have to say about that? Would you disagree or agree?
No, I agree. I'm very familiar with that terminology and I've taught on it a lot. So let me just break it down a little bit for you guys. So we're talking about a poverty mindset. So anytime we talk about poverty, as Tony said, we're talking about lack and insufficiency. And so those things are born out of our environment. They're born out of the communication that we hear from other people. That's a learned behavior to even take on that type of mindset, because your mindset has everything to do with your thoughts, how you think, and it's your fixed mental attitude. It's your mindset, your attitude. So what is your attitude about poverty? And when I begin to talk about the poverty mindset, I break it all the way down to it's your spending choices, because I came from humble beginnings. I had those whopping 19 credit cards and over $30,000 of consumer debt and the pressure and, people telling me to file bankruptcy or whatever. But I shifted my mindset, because even though I had some poverty in my childhood, that didn't mean that it had to stay with me, because I put myself in a position where I could shift not only my mindset, but my money. And so as it relates to all of that, I also had to change my behaviors. So I feel strongly that even though we may have been born into poverty and may have carried the spirit of poverty with us, because the conversations that we heard as children were, you can't have, we'll never have, you'll never be able to have a house of your own, you'll always be like this, it was good for your grandmama, it was good for me, what makes you think you're better? See, those are those voices that you have to tune out, because sometimes you have to walk alone and sit those other people on the curb. I'm going to come back and get you when I get wealthy, because right now you don't understand. And then you get yourself out of poverty, because you got to walk this thing out. And to get out of it, you've got to make some changes. So spending choices, as it relates to what we're talking about, money and poverty, your spending choices have to shift if you want to get out of that poverty mentality and that poverty lifestyle. Your spending choices and your behaviors have to shift, and your conversation, your words. You don't want to say I'm broke. You don't want to say that anymore. You just want to say I'm going through a cash flow adjustment. That's all.
But the thing is, Carol, I am amazed at how many adults don't even know what a cash flow is.
That's a big word, Tony. That's a big word.
I know.
Yeah, I'm going through a cash flow adjustment. Just means that, okay, my wallet may be empty, but it's adjusting because there's some money coming from somewhere. It's not gonna it's like this today. But that sounds a whole lot better than I'm broke. I can't get any money. Why you ask me that? I'm always broke. That's a poverty mindset, because if you say those words out of your mouth on a constant basis, what you're saying is, I'm always in lack. I always have a state of inadequacy, insufficiency, because you have to understand what you're really saying. Versus if I say I'm going through a cash flow adjustment, that just means something is coming. It's not here today, but it's coming, because now there's your faith. There's your new mindset says, I may make this amount of money right now. I don't know how I'm going to be able to do it, but I'm going to either get a higher paying job, I'm going to get a windfall of cash, I'm going to invest in the right, vehicle. But what you are saying to yourself, it's kind of like when I had COVID in the hospital, I didn't have on any TVs, nothing, because you're in isolation anyway. And I had my praise music, my instrumental praise music going. And when I wasn't sedated, I would say out loud, I shall not die, but live and proclaim what the Lord has done. That's Psalms 118:17. That's all I had on my mouth. And I had Exodus 15:26. I am the Lord that healeth thee. One translation says, I cure the incurable. Well, I had an incurable virus in my body. Right. So what I did was profess the opposite of what I was. I knew I was sick in the natural, but in the realm of the spirit and what I saw for myself as the end result, and I knew I had an October 29th date with you, I had to live so I could get here and talk to y'all about your money and your mindset.
Wow.
And same thing with your money. I don't care what's going on right now. I don't care how your childhood started out. I went from poverty and broke to wealthy. And that's because of the change in my mindset.
Wow. This is what it's about.
Yeah.
And only when someone recognizes that it is your mind is one of the most valuable tools that you have, invest in it. We've just started earlier this year a wealth club, And it's just beautiful to see, because it's really about coming together with people who have those aspirations and speaking in the positive, as you said. And when you have yourself in a circle of people that's the language that is deliberately spoken, it's more powerful than you going to learn money techniques. I mean, they have their place, but what you say, as you just illustrated to your mind, and what you speak out. I'm from Nigeria, so we know about the power of words. It makes all the difference. And you're just a proof of that.
Yeah, all the difference. Your words are power. You know, life and death is in the power of the tongue. I mean, that's Bible. Life and death, whether you live or die, is in the power of what you say. As a man thinketh, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. What's in your heart? What's in your mind? What's in your mouth?
Yeah.
Because you're shaping your life by what you let come out. And as you start to make the shift into an elevated mindset, you may find that you have to do some adjustments in your village, because when you move to the next level, everybody can't go with you to the next level because they want to stay in poverty. And you have to just let them stay there if they don't want to move. But you've got to move. And as Tony just said, who you surround yourself with, you got to sit at the table with a different set of people who are speaking a different set of language in terms of where you're going. You can't stay at that old broke table. You can't stay there. Stay broke. Get away from the broke table. Okay?
Wow. I mean, I couldn't have said it any better. So I think we've really made the point very clear in terms of changing your poverty mindset. But in order to change your poverty mindset, you have to, first of all, be real with yourself to actually assess where we are. So how would you suggest to someone that they identify their current position? I mean, you talked about your current money story. You know, how does someone assess themselves to say, right, this is my current money story?
Well, that kind of happens in two parts. So first of all, you got to own your stuff wherever you are. Everything that's going on happened because of choices. Like if you're operating in lack, you got to go back and look at what choices did I make to put me here. But as it relates to your money story, literally, that is born out of your childhood, because we adopt and adapt to the environment and conditions that we're in. So let's say, for example, I don't know if you guys do this over in London, but I know in the United States, people do stuff like this. Like if somebody calls and they're talking to them about it, they want to talk to them about a bill, they may tell the person on the other end of the phone, I'm sorry, but Carol is not here. May I take a message for her?
Do they do what?
You on the phone, but you're taking a message for yourself because you're a bill collector. And so you're taking a message saying, I'll give her the message and have her call you back. Well, if you grew up watching your mother or your father do that, your money story was being developed because that's what you saw. That's what you heard. So now when you grow up, your family didn't teach you anything about money because they didn't know anything about money from the previous generation. So it becomes a generational curse. Now, when you grow up and the bill collector is calling you, the only thing you know to do is say, this is Carol. I'm sorry, she's not here. May I take a message? Now, if you've got kids, your kids are seeing this. So the money story continues to evolve like that. But now as an adult, as it relates to your money story, you got to own your stuff. You got to get up close and personal and real with your stuff.
Wow.
If the situation is, I earn money, but as soon as my money comes in, it goes out. I go to the ATM machine and withdraw money. I withdraw $200 every Friday and I don't have any accountability for it. It's just $200 in my pocket and whatever I'm doing. So your money story is waste. Your money story is no control. Your money story is I want to be broke. Because if you're pulling out $800 a month, if you do it $200 every Friday, and you have no accountability for that $800, and then you're trying to figure out why you don't have enough money to do something that's really important, like get your car maintenance. And now you want to beg for what you need, and spend for what you want. And now you want me to become your bank because you want to borrow my money. Well, see, your money story, that's all mixed up in that poverty mindset because you haven't even taken responsibility for the fact that this is my car. It's my responsibility when the service light comes on to make sure I have money set aside to repair it. I am not supposed to go to Tony and say, look, bro, yeah, I got a situation. If I don't get this situation handled with the situation with the car, I'm gonna have another situation because I don't have a job. So you think about that situation when you got hair weave, when you got nails, when you put on red bottom shoes, when you had all of your, designer bags. If you got a $3,000 purse and you don't have $3,000 in the bank, what is wrong with you? You gotta own your stuff. You should never have a purse on your shoulder that's worth more than the money you have in your bank account. What are you doing with that purse sitting on your credit card? What are you doing? That's a problem. You gotta all this stuff, Tony. You gotta own it because it's real. I'm telling the truth.
Yeah, I feel you
I'm telling the
100%.
truth.
And this is what we love about you because you keep it real 100%. And sometimes we just have to be, no, not sometimes, all the time. We just got to be honest and real.
Yeah, because there's no judgment zone with me. People that come into my village, they stay in my village because they love for me to tell them the truth, but they know that I'm also going to give them the antidote, if you will, to what they need to do to move the needle. And they know that if they follow the advice and the principles and the coaching or whatever the program that I'm giving to them, they know that they're going to get the results that they're looking for. But if you ignore me and say, you can't tell me not to carry my bag, well, stay broke. Stay broke or make a different choice. You got, look at my finger. You got two choices, broke or elevation. You choose. It's your money story. You choose how you want this story to be written and how you want it to end.
Wow. Now that we have to take a moment. Like, I want people to just take a moment and think about that because that's empowerment right there, isn't it?
Yes.
You make a choice.
Story. It's your story. You can have a poverty story or you could have a money freedom story. It's really up to you.
And one requires focus and work and commitment, and the other, you could just shoot it with the breeze.
No restraint. It's kind of like when the Bible says you've given yourself over to lasciviousness. You've given yourself over to no restraint. You have no control whatsoever. And you say, I'm trying. You're not trying hard enough. Because is your bank account, listen, that debit card is not coming up out of your purse
By itself.
Or your wallet. It is not going to jump up out of your purse or your wallet and get some legs and say, spend me. I want to be used today. You got to physically go inside of the purse or the wallet and make a conscious choice as to whether or not you're going to do the same thing that you keep doing repeatedly that keeps giving you the same results repeatedly. And these are results that you don't like. Yeah. And can I just say something right here, Tony? The holidays are coming up. And some of y'all need to go sit down because you don't need to be caught up into this commercialization this year. If you already have balances from last holiday season that you're still paying off, I need to understand why you're trying to go shopping. I need to understand why you're trying to do anything on Black Friday, Green Monday, Purple Tuesday, and all the other days that they have come up with. You need to sit down and say to yourself, while everybody else is doing this, my money story doesn't allow me to do that. I'm trying to get out of a poverty mindset. I need to elevate. I can't do that this year. You need to have a meeting with your family and let your family know we did not do the proper planning to spend like that this year. And we want to move the needle and go to another level in 2022. So we're going to do something different this Christmas. We're going to go feed the homeless, or we're going to go to a shelter, we're going to go to a senior home and sing Christmas carols to them because their family members don't come and visit them. And that way you won't be trying to spend money that you don't have. Okay. So I just thought I'd add that in there, Tony, since it's holiday season, because
Yeah.
do more of the same.
Yeah. Why do more of the same? Well, because the people that do more of the same they're driven by being unconscious. They're just, it would seem, not consciously aware of what they're doing. Like you said, they literally think that the credit card has legs on it and jumps out of their purse or their wallet.
Is that, and it's also people bondage, because you got to get free from people. You know, if you're not in high-end season where you can go into the high-end stores, I know you have different stores over there, but you know, in the States, we have stores like Saks Fifth Avenue, Neiman Marcus, and then we have all the actual designer stores. Like we have boutiques here. Okay, that it may not be your season for that. Don't even go in there and tempt yourself. And just because somebody else is driving this and wearing this and living in this, you don't know their money story, because
Yeah.
be one day away from losing it all because they're overextended. But yet we try to, and we feel intimidated, and we feel like we don't fit in a certain circle if we're not wearing certain labels, driving certain types of cars, living in certain types of neighborhood. You got to know your season. If it's not your season for all of that, and if the people in your village cannot accept the season that you're in the wrong village.
Wow. You need to find your village and get to the right place.
Yeah.
So it sounds like that you agree with me that the circle that you surround yourself with, where the money story is concerned, is crucial as a mechanism. Yeah.
It's everything, because anytime you're in a village and there's a mixture of people, everybody's going to be at a different level. However, if you're all striving, trying to get to a better place, the conversation and the energy is going to be good.
Absolutely.
Look down on you because maybe they are making $5,000 more a year than you are. They're not going to say, well, you know, you haven't arrived yet, but you're striving to get there. And you have now shifted your mindset to where you actually can learn from your village and not be intimidated by your village. And then you want to make sure people that are in the village are not causing you to be defeated because you haven't arrived. So you have to find your good balance of that.
Wow. I mean, this sounds like a commercial for our wealth club. It really does. I'm gonna go edit this and put it up. No, but it sounds great because it's the truth and it's principled. That's why it works.
Mm-hmm.
But no, thank you for expressing it, and I hope that people are listening and hearing, because we haven't planned this. Like, we've literally, the last time we actually physically spoke was about 20 minutes ago, and we spoke for 5 minutes. Prior to that, the last time we actually spoke was 2 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, but yet the stuff is coming out and there's synchronicity here, because what we're dealing with is spiritual principles. They're universal laws. They work. And once you
Yes.
learn them and apply them, as you said, then it's like a mathematical equation. 1 + 1 will always equal 2. You just have to apply it. So, okay.
Absolutely.
So we understand the poverty mindset. We understand the knowing and owning your current money story. So how does one, in your opinion, like, how do we, like, what tips and steps would you suggest that people could take to actually upgrade their money story?
So I'm gonna give you a spiritual and a practical answer to that.
Okay.
From the spiritual perspective, there's a passage in 1 Corinthians 4, verse 2 that says, "It is required in stewards that a man be found faithful and worthy of trust." That's your basis right there, because stewardship is another word for management. It is required in managers of money, that a man, because if you look up the word stewardship, it's going to say that you're a manager of an estate or a household. So all of you have been blessed with some form of money that you're supposed to manage. So from a spiritual perspective, it does not say it is an option in steward. It does not say it's optional. It says in the Bible, it is required. That means it is essential, it is necessary, and you don't get to pick and choose whether or not you want to do that. So it is required in stewards that a man be found faithful, and that a man be found that, or a woman be found that he can be trusted with that which he has been given stewardship over.
Oh,
So answer is, can you be trusted with what you got now? Because why would the Almighty God that we serve give us more to mess over? So that's
don't make sense.
why you're not getting any more, because God is looking at your stewardship right now with what you are earning in pounds right now.
And what you're doing with the money that you get.
And what you're doing right now. So if you don't even have a basic spending plan system where you know what's coming in, what's going out, and how much discretionary income that you have, and then making good choices about the discretionary, because the discretionary or what you have left over doesn't mean just go blow it and waste it. Taylor has an assignment.
Say that, no. Say that.
Has an assignment and is
Oh.
on a mission for increase. And that's the mindset you have to have. Every dollar that I am blessed with, it has an assignment. That's why you're supposed to do stewardship over it. You're supposed to steward over your money. Not if I feel like it, or don't nobody have time for all of that. Who wants to do a budget? That is too time consuming. I don't care if you do the old envelope system like my mama did, where she put X amount of dollars in an envelope and then when it's empty, it was gone. I don't care if you do a pen and ink system. I don't care if you build multiple spreadsheets in Excel. I don't care if you use an app. I don't care how you do it. You need to be a good steward. Because if you ever want to upgrade your money, if you don't choose stewardship, everything else is off the table, because that's management. So the first thing you got to do, Tony, is decide that you're going to be a steward, that you're going to manage it. If you don't have the skills, get them. If you don't know how, get them. Find people in your village or put them in your village that can help you along the way. Okay, so now, once we get to the point where we're going to be a good steward, now you've got to make sure that all of your money systems are working like they need to. Like, you've got to have good banking systems. You got to make sure your checking account is not being overdrawn. Okay, that's a problem if you're trying to upgrade. Well, why is that a problem? You're not being a steward. Well, why is that a problem? Because you're not using a spending plan. And why is that a problem? Because you're just doing stuff thinking that you got, I thought I had, did that check come through? How come that check bounced? You're telling on yourself when you open up your mouth and say things like that. So you got to make sure your banking systems are in order. You need to be saving money. You need to have at least, at a minimum, 3 months saved for an emergency at a minimum. I told people for years, you want to have at least a year in your emergency reserve account, because you never know when something's going to happen. The world shut down for over a year with the pandemic. Those people that took my advice, they were like, Money Mender, I never thought in my wildest dreams I would see us have to use a year's worth of the emergency fund. I said, praise God, you listen. For those who didn't, Carol, I sure wished I would have listened to you when you were telling us to put that money aside, because my company shut down. So you got to be ready in advance. You can't wait until the crisis is upon you and then say, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? So what am I saying? You got to be an effective money manager and planner in order to upgrade your systems. And you got to go back and do what I said. You've got to have some financial boundaries in place. Your flesh is going to be screaming, I want. But you got to put financial boundaries in place that create safeguards for you as you are adjusting your spending behaviors and your mindset. If you don't do those things, you're never going to upgrade your money system. You're never going to see the next level of increase that you're wanting to see because your foundation is not being built on a solid plane. It's on quicksand. It's on quicksand. So you've got to start making decisions. Can I really afford? I can't convert it in my head, but in the US, it costs about $300 if you want to get a weave, like, some long hair when you don't have long hair. Okay. Can you really afford, first of all, to spend $300 on the weave? And then can you afford the maintenance of it while you're still getting your nails done and doing all the other stuff you're going to the theater? You got to put gas in your car. You got kids at home that need food. You got a child that's in the high school years and they're getting ready to go to college. You don't have a college fund set up for them. So you're beating that child down, trying to make them an A student in high school and they're a C student because you're like, you better get that scholarship. They've got scholarships out there. What? You knew when they came out the womb 18 years ago that they might go to college. So the moment they come out and start crying, they spank them on the butt. You need to be thinking about an educational fund that you can fund every month. And just in case they want to go to college, you took care of that 18 years ago. See, Tony, that's how you upgrade, because you make choices in the right season and you steward over your money appropriately. I know that was a lot,
But no, it is what it is. It
Yeah.
is what it is. And as you were talking, what just flashed into my mind is that verse in Matthew 7:24, and it talks about the wise and the foolish builder. It's quicksand and building a house on the rock, or building a, and I'm sharing these, ladies and gentlemen, because it's not even that, I have previously been an avid reader of the word, but as of this year, it was shown to me in my meditation that even a blind man can see that we are living in biblical times, and, don't be fooled that, my spiritual mentor said some people, when they look at the history of how the Bible was formed and stuff like that, have many things to say. But you see, it's about your mental application. And he's quite a radical. He's from Ghana. And he said once, the Bible is not the word of God. I'm like, no. A lot of people be like, what? He said, but it contains the word of God. So there may be lots of stuff in there, but you have to use your mind to be able to discern the truth and pick out the truth. So this is why we're making these references, ladies and gentlemen. So these things are not our views. That's the point I'm making. It's not our views. These are principles. That means they stand the test of time. They work whether you want them to or not, whether you're aware of them or not. They are law. So the wise person is the person who recognizes, okay, well, let me learn some of these laws and principles that will never change. And let me just begin to align myself and align my life and align my attitude and my behavior in accordance with these. And it'll carry me through. And this is what you're advocating, right?
Yes, the word never fails. I mean, if you build your life up on a rock, and that includes your finances, if you build your life on the principles that are in the word, I mean, the word tells us, before you build, sit down and count the cost. In other words, before you spend, sit down and count the cost to make sure that you have sufficient to do it. That is scripture. And so what we do is we just go out and do stuff, don't count the cost. Then we come back and beg for what we want. You don't you don't play with things like your mortgage money, your rent money. You know that if you squander that money, there is potential that you're going to lose your living. So
I don't get how someone could actually take this 500 pounds or 1,000 pounds rent money and be comfortable. I mean, feel at ease to spend that money. I don't get it.
Or let somebody borrow it. How you going to let somebody borrow What is wrong with that? Listen, when you let people borrow money, I don't let people borrow money. I will give you some money if I'm led to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you not expecting to get it back because I
Wow.
don't have time to be running behind you saying you owe me $100. You said you were going to give it to me on the 13th. It's the 15th. Where is my money? See, that creates strife, that creates stress and drama. I like to live a drama-free life. I like to live in peace. So if I'm led to give you money, first of all, I'm going to ask you what you need it for. And if it's for a bill or whatever, I'm going to ask you to give me the bill and I'll send it in myself. That way, I know that I sold it into good ground from the perspective of if your lights were going to get turned off and I could help you, I'm going to pay the electric company. I'm not going to give it to you and let it pass through your hands. I'm not going to do that because if you really are asking me in integrity for what you need, you won't have a problem giving me that invoice. Now, if you look cross-eyed and start frowning and making noises and stuff, you need it. You want it, not need it. You want something else. But if I'm saying I'll take care of it, just bring me the power bill. You should be running home like, okay, can you stay here till I get back? So people will let you know when they're telling the truth.
Right, right.
So that's a good thing for you to incorporate into your life. If you're one of those persons who wants to bless somebody that's in need and you want to just do it because you feel led, just ask them to let you send the money in and watch what happens.
We've seen it too many times, right?
Yes, too many times. So,
Wow, it's just incredible. As I was saying to you earlier when we were having a little chat, my business mentor, he passed last year, but that was his policy. That he wasn't into, lending people money, but you see, here's the thing, people with broke mentalities, they see it in a very negative perspective. Now he was a billionaire, and so you immediately think, or a poverty mindset person immediately thinks, because you're obliged to give them some, right? but the reason why we're not obliged is because you know how hard it is to work to get that money.
Exactly. And so we'd rather teach you, I could give you money all day, but I'd much rather teach you how to get your own so you have it at any time. I could, a lot of people ask me, why don't I do third-party debt collecting? First of all, I don't have time for that. That's way too much drama and too much stress for me. But if I teach you how to get a bill resolved, if it ever becomes a problem, anytime in your life that happens, you're always going to know how to do it.
Right.
Have the right financial conversations.
Right.
Anytime that situation arises, you're going to be able to do it yourself and not have to pay me a fee to pick up the phone and ask them to lower your interest rate when you can do that yourself. Why do I have to do that when you can make that same phone call?
And
you
what
can
you're
in confidence and with authority and not in fear. You got to know that I'm calling to get some results.
And this is what we're doing here. And, I just hope that people can see through their fear, because actually what you're doing, what I'm doing is, because we care so much, we want to empower you so you don't have to come to us and give us your money. And that's the way to see it.
Exactly.
Make the initial investment in yourself, learn what needs to be learned, empower yourself, and change your mindset forever.
Forever. Yes, forever. I have people in my community right now that started out with me pretty much when I started my business, and they still are in my village, and I'm their go-to person at every season of their life. Some of them were fresh out of college when they entered into my village. Now, many of them are almost at retirement age. And so from what they
Wow.
did out of college to, okay, money mender, I want to retire in 7 years. I need to set up some coaching sessions with you to make sure I'm on track because I don't want to work until I'm 80. And so they won't go to anybody else because they have walked this journey, this financial journey with me their entire adult life. And at every phase of life, they invested, as you said, they invested in themselves for what they needed. And now they need to make sure retirement is straight. And so now they're making those type of investments and sitting down and saying, okay, let's look, here's all of me. So yeah, I mean, it's real.
And
So,
this is it. It is so real that, you know, that is the number one thing that astonished me. What I mean by that is, so, you know, I consciously made a decision back in January 2013 to extend who I was working with. Prior to that, for, 20 odd years, I was working with just young people, disadvantaged people from our community, young people. But when I made that transition to begin to work with adults, I was amazed at how different these two groups were. See, young people, they keep it 100% real all day long. But adults, they be finding ways to lie to themselves.
yes.
You know what I'm saying, right?
Self-denial.
I'm like, what
Yes,
is
yes.
going on?
I mean, some of it is shame. I know as it relates to money. A lot of people are ashamed
Okay.
of reality.
Okay.
And that's another reason a lot of people that I work with come to me because I don't judge you. So
Right.
when you come to me and show me just how horrific your finances are, the next thing you're going to hear out of my mouth is, okay, so now that we know what's going on, let's get busy and change this picture. I don't ask you, what in the world were you thinking? I mean, how did you sit here for 3 years and not pay these people? I don't say any of that because that's not going to change your reality.
Absolutely.
Reality is my stuff needs to be mended. And so that's the focus on day one. We got to mend this. It can be mended, but now it's not going to be mended overnight. And I will tell my clients, my mentees, my students, anybody that sits in my classroom, you're not going to waste my time and I'm not going to take your money. If you're not willing to do the work that is required as I give you advice, I am not your coach. I am not your teacher. I am not your person. I tell you that up front because I don't want your money if you're not going to do the work.
But the thing is, people who have a poverty mindset, they have a problem understanding and believing that, I say to people, like, I don't need your money. In fact, I'm so arrogant with it that I know my provider. Like, I know my provider. And it's not a man. It's not a woman.
Exactly.
It's from the Most High. But they be like, oh, no, See, here's a question for you. Do you think that there is a problem with understanding money versus value? Because what I find is that that's where the problem is, because people are saying like, well, if you don't need my money, why are you charging me? What'd you say to that?
Ooh, that could be like a 5-hour conversation. Let me tell you something. I'm going to give you this short answer. People put their money on what they value. So if me giving you the financial education that nobody else ever gave you is not valuable to you, you're going to expect me to give it to you because you don't value it like you do changing cars every year and putting yourself in an upside down equity situation where the ignorance there is you don't understand they're rolling the outstanding balance on the other car into the other car. So you don't even understand that that's crazy. If I say to you, okay, I can do this many sessions with you because I'm going to ask you what your goals are. Okay, now if you don't value my time, if you don't value my expertise, in relation to my price point, okay, I'm okay with that. I want you to know we're cool because it's what you value.
It's not what you value, because
If
you
you
know your
value
value.
it and you want results and I can get you there, then we're going to move forward. I'm not going to be offended. My feelings aren't going to be hurt because at the end of the day, I'm going to see you over there struggling eventually. I already know that. So I don't even have to worry about it because I saw where you were when you came in. And I see that all the time. Tony, if I could just take 1 minute, I got a person right now. I told this person, she started working with me back in the spring, and she was like just ready to leave her job. She's in her late 50s, and anybody knows, I don't care what country you live in, when you get that age, they start moving you out of the workplace and putting younger people in place. So she had all this emotion going on, and she was going to quit her job and she was going to do this for her business. Okay, why did 2 months later, while I'm recovering from COVID, I get this SOS emergency like, I don't have any money, but I need you because I messed up. Those were her words.
What?
And I just pinned, I really tried to prevent this from happening to you, but you didn't want to listen to my advice. And I'm not getting ready to coach you for free because you didn't value. You didn't value what I told you 2 months ago. Now I'm over here recovering and you don't care about me recovering because now you got a crisis. It's like, well, I need you and I don't, I mean, she wrote on the paper, well, I need you and I don't have any money to pay you. But there's nothing to talk about. Because I tried to prevent this catastrophe from happening. But you didn't value my expertise. You didn't value my coaching. You didn't value anything that I was trying to tell you because you had a made up mind that you were going to do it your way. And now that
it's work.
Now you want to come to me and it's my problem now that I got to fix for you. And you didn't have enough money, which is what I told you at the time. You're too fragile to make this move and lose your job and your benefits with a high school senior. You don't need to do that. You don't have enough of an emergency reserve to cushion you.
Wow, that is shocking, but it is a reality that people in our work we find all the time because we have the wherewithal. I mean, come on, this is what you've been doing for 33 years. Probably, you know what you're talking about.
You think?
just maybe, you know? And so, yes, you're right. I believe it's one of the biggest things in our community that we need to teach how to value things, how to place value on the right things. And that's all to do with mindset, isn't it?
Mindset. I was going to say, I think it's Romans 12:2, do not be conformed to this world. And I think in the Message Bible, it may read, don't copy the world's way of doing things. And so, from a believer's spiritual perspective, Christian, whatever you identify as, I see more of that. The Christian believing spiritual world trying to copy Hollywood and
you see that
and celebrities.
You see that.
Yeah, I see it. So you live at the salary that you live on, middle income wages, versus they make 20 million a movie. What are you doing trying to compete with that? What is you? You're trying to copy something that's way out of your league. You're not nowhere near that season. Your middle income wages might not ever equal 20 million, and they got that in one shot. So why are you trying to go out now and mimic what you're doing when you have your salary in the UK versus their salary from the movie set? Why are you trying to wear the same clothes and drive the same cars and travel to the same places Their money is really long, like long, unlimited. And yours has to still cover some stuff like mortgages and rent and car payments and insurance and childcare and so forth, food, entertainment, healthcare. You got to put all those things in perspective.
Wow.
So stop copying celebrity life when your income doesn't equal their life.
Wow.
Got to bring it in perspective.
Well, I mean, I couldn't have put it better myself. Well, I'm looking at the time, and I know that some of our members will want to be having some quiet, private time with you. So, for our guests on Facebook and on YouTube, what would be your parting message to them in terms of, well, first of all, before you even give your parting message, I'd like you to give out your contact details in case somebody would like to contact you to engage in some coaching with you.
Sure. Just go to my website, themoneymender.com, and there's a button at the top that says contact. And, you can send me a message because with coaching, it's going to be different for every person. And just send me that information. And that way we will also be able to put you into our contact list so that when other programs, virtual programs that can be done anywhere in the world, when those things become available, then you will have access, because if you don't want coaching, but you may need a program, then we'll be able to stay in contact with you and add you to our contact list.
Right. Okay. Beautiful. Great stuff. So, what would be your parting comment to our guests who are tuning in on social media?
My comment would be, make a decision today to become a good steward over the resources that you have been blessed with so that you can elevate your life to whatever level you want to, because stewardship is all encompassing. And if you could just become a good manager, that's going to shift your mindset, your thoughts, and everything else going on in your finances. If you won't make that choice, then life will continue to be a financial struggle for you if that management is not in place.
That's it. Case closed.
Case closed.
Okay, well, you heard it from the money mender herself. I hope that you have found this useful and beneficial. And I hope that in the new year, when we come back, we will be bringing you guests. In fact, I'm going to have a word with Carol and see if we can structure something for you all where we can align with her courses and programs, because 2022 is, I truly believe, going to be a groundbreaking year for many people. It's going to be very divisive. What I mean by that, those people who have the broke mentality, they are going to struggle incredibly hard times. And yet those people who begin to employ these principles and set up their lives and plan for seasons are going to experience an abundance like perhaps we ain't seen in a long time. And we're already seeing signs of this for those who are tuned in and plugged in. And so we want to invite you to be a part of our village, where we get to be in the company of amazing people like Carol Hunter, who can give us insights, knowledge, because they are experts in their field. When you surround yourself with experts, life begins to become easy. So on that note, I want to say thank you so much for joining in with us for the last however many months you may have tuned in. We look forward to seeing you, as I said, in 2022. But in the meantime, we've put our details in the chat. So if you want to connect with us by way of receiving our emails, then please do so. But for now, it's me, Tony Dudder, your soul brother, saying thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you, Carol, for tuning in with us this evening. But stay there, don't go away. We're going to tune in to our members.